Hello and welcome to another video. It's Simon Hurley from Inklips, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use some creative masking with Mama Elephant stamps. And I'm also going to be using some new ink colors and stamps from the Simon Says Stamp Splash of Color release. I'm starting off, and I'm going to be using the Simon Says Stamp Happy Block Reading stamp set, which is an awesome stamp set with some bold block readings and some little font to go with it, which is very versatile. And I'm also going to be using the Mama Elephant Woodland Gift stamp set, which has a ton of little critters and images to build the scene. I'm going to be using 3 of the 12 new inks called Lucky, Hot Mama, and Teeny Bikini. These are all great products, and I can't wait to use them on today's card. I'm starting off with a 4x4 inch piece of watercolor cardstock, and I'm going to be using some Simon Says Stamp black ink, which is a waterproof ink. I'm going to be stamping down the little rabbit first because I want that to be in the foreground of my image. I'm using the grid lines to line it up on my cutting mat, and then I'm going to be putting the rabbit mask on. I can then stamp the log right below the rabbit. And I'm also going to be stamping the little jar of honey right in its hands. I'm going to stamp the bear right across from the rabbit. Also, I'm going to line that up with the lines on my cutting mat. And I'm going to stamp the butterfly in the background for some added detail. I'm going to peel off that rabbit mask, which makes everything to come to life here, and then I'm going to be adhering it down onto my cutting mat so we can do some watercoloring. I'm using these Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. You guys have seen me use these a lot in the past. They're really versatile, and I love using them on all my cards because, it's just a great way to add some easy color, and it's really quick for me after I've learned how to use them. I'm starting off with the darkest shade of brown here, and I'm going to be adding those all into the different shadows of my bear. This alarmed me at first because I was a little bit scared that the color was a little bit too dark for my bear and that you wouldn't be able to see his features, so it really worried me, but I'm glad that I kept continuing on because then I went into my mid-tone, and once you actually water these colors down, they get a lot lighter, so it's all, you just lay down your color and it'll get a lot lighter from here, even though it looks very vibrant when you just add it down onto your cardstock. Now I'm going into my lightest color, and I'm going to color that down, blending all the colors together. Now I'm going to leave a white gap right in the middle of my image here so I can watercolor these out, and I'm going to be using the Tim Holtz Fine Detail water brush. And I'm going to be watercoloring these out and kind of blending the color. Like I mentioned before, the color will get a lot lighter as you water it down and kind of blend it out with the other colors. So it's no need to worry if you add a really dark color down because most likely if you add water to it, it will definitely lighten up when you're using these markers. So I'm just going to keep blending out the color here. Now, as you guys will notice, I got a little bit of pilling on the paper, so I dried it and wiped off some of that pilling, and it's good to go. There's not many problems with that. Then I'm going to be moving on to the belly and the nose. I'm going to be using some light tan colors for that, and I'm also going to be using 3 shades and then blending it out using my Tim Holtz water brush. It's very easy to watercolor with these markers once you get the hang of it. I'm moving on to the log, and I'm going to be using the same colors that I used for my little bear. I'm going along the little lines or suggested wood marks on my image here, and that's where I'm going to add my shadows. I'm going to be using my water brush again to water that all out. I'm going to do my butterfly now, and I'm going to be using some pink colors. I wish I would have done it in a different color on second thought if I made this card again, because, the background is going to be pink later on in the card, so it kind of blends together a little bit. I'm going to do my bunny in some gray tones here. And I'm going to want to keep it fairly light because I kind of was mimicking a white rabbit or a slightly gray rabbit. I didn't want it to be too dark, going into kind of like a black. Again, I'm just shadowing the image here and going in with 3 different shades. And once again, don't get too worried about adding some dark colors in. I really didn't mind adding those in because I kind of realized after a little while that, blending them out definitely really lightens them out and really gives you the color you would like. So with these markers, I would say go darker at the beginning because they will lighten up a lot and, brighten up your image. So I'm going to add some pink to that little bunny's ears. And I'm going to color the jar of honey with some really simple orange colors here. I'm going to be using just 2 shades on here. And it's very simple to add your color. I'm going to again blend that out with some water. And now I'm going to move on to my background. I've masked the whole thing off and added a row of frog tape. I'm going to start off by using the Green Apple Simon Says Stamp ink color, and I'm going to be blending these out. I'm also going to be using their little grid mat here, which is a paper grid mat, which is really awesome, and I can rip off the pieces of paper once I'm done with it. Now, ink blending with these Simon Says Stamp inks is a little bit more tricky because they don't want to blend as well because they do have great properties of sinking into the paper right away. So I'm going to have to tap off some color until my sponge almost has no color on it, and then I'm going to add it to my background. Then I'm going to be using one of the new colors called Lucky. I really love this green color, and it's a really vibrant green, and it's really true green as well. I'm going to again wipe most of that color off so I don't get a big blob onto my surface here. Then I'm going to add that right to the surface of my ink, kind of to give it a little bit more shadow. I'm going to do the same thing once again, and I'm going to just add a little bit more onto there. I'm going to go in with Teeny Bikini, which is a really fun pink kind of peach color. And I'm going to do the same blending process. Now you'll notice that when I was doing this, the black color on the bear and the butterfly actually bled a little bit off the mask. I used Simon Says Stamp ink for the mask, which is not formulated for ink blending or putting ink right over top of it. I used Memento ink for the other masks and they were fine, so I would not recommend that for the masks. All inks are formulated differently. You have to look at the packaging, and I did not look very carefully there, so it did bleed a little bit, but I covered it up with some ink blending later on in the card, so it didn't really matter. I mean, it still was visible, but it didn't really matter to me in the end. I just really stayed a little bit more farther away from those masks here in the future, and it worked out fine. Now, in some places, you'll notice that I forgot to wipe off some of the color off my sponge, and it got really dark there. But it did turn out really cool, and I was, really in awe of how this piece came out. I'm ripping off the masks, and again, this is pure magic when the masks come off. This is when all your work really paid off, and you get a really cool background with some of your awesome images in it. So once I peeled off all of my masks, I'm very happy with the results of my ink blending. I stamped then the thanks in some Teeny Bikini ink onto a sketchy banner die from Simon Says Stamp, and I've stamped on the For Everything right below it in some black dye ink. I'm using my white Jelly Roll pen to add some stitching detail, faux stitching detail onto the edge of my card. This will just give it a little bit more depth, and it'll give it more of a finished look. I'm adding my panel onto my scorecard using some fun foam, and that basically finishes off my card for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video featuring some of the new products from the Simon Says Stamp Splash of Color release. They released 12 new inks in total and a lot of stamps and dies, so I will link down to all the products down in the description below. I'm also really thrilled with this Mama Elephant stamp set, and I can't wait to use it again in the future. It's just a really fun stamp set that you can use with some creative masking and create a really awesome fun scene like in this card today. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video and card. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and also share this video. I would love it if you guys can subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. That would mean a lot to me, and all my new videos will come into your inbox. I will be sure to link all the products down below in the description or over at my blog, inklips.com, to make sure you guys can buy any of these supplies that I used in today's video. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys soon. Bye!